Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to the Today's Restaurant News Networking Group, Chapter 2. We are a group of vendors who are here to help each other in business and also to help restaurant owners, managers, and chefs with any problems or concerns that they might have for their businesses. If you'd like to get in touch with us to attend the meeting, please give us a call at 561-620-8888 or go to our website, prnusa.com. I want to thank Steve Whitehill for inviting our guest today, Ivo. Why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're located, and how we can reach you.
Good morning. My name is Ivo Rovari. It's an Italian name. I'm a U.S. citizen, but my father is Italian, and my mother, she's Brazilian, so I talk with my hands. I am a business banker. Yes, I am a business banker for PNC. I work in Deerfield, Hillsborough Federal. It's very nice in Florida. Well, I got my master's degree. I'm a software engineer, and then I went to the banking business. I also have a lot of international experience, 20 years as international business manager. But the thing I love is finances. So we help business clients to succeed. And I'm so happy to be to join this team today.
Okay, well, welcome aboard. And when we have discussions, please feel free to jump in.
Sure, thank you.
Chris, you want to do your presentation first or last? No, I mean,
well, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm actually on a cell phone here at the Crystal Hamburgers in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, let me give you the real introduction.
Oh, okay, good.
All right, our speaker for today is Chris Kauffman from what is the name of your company?
Ace is a great place.
From the beautiful metropolis of on the ocean of Vidalia, Georgia.
Vidalia. Right.
All right, Chris, it's all yours.
Okay. Thank you, Howard. You know, I want you all to know there's nothing I wouldn't do for Howard, and there's nothing Howard wouldn't do for me. And that's the kind of relationship we've had. We've done nothing for each other. It's great to be on the call this morning. I am proud to talk about recruiting, and also wondering, some people might think, why pay an outside person to go get us some people? Why don't we just put an ad on Indeed? Why don't we put an ad on ZipRecruiter or in the Miami Herald or whatever? And that's also a good avenue sometimes to get people. However, if you're happy doing what you're doing, are you reading ads on Indeed? Probably not. And it depends on where a company's needs happen to be. Historically, in the 80s, everybody was growing. I mean, everybody was going to go from 2 restaurants to 4 restaurants to 8 restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. It cooled off in the first part of the 90s, and then it heated up again in the last part of the 90s. And now we are in somewhat of a growth mode again, but the workforce has significantly changed in terms of their attitudes towards work. And that's something that companies need to be aware of, because what was a motivating factor a couple of years ago may not work so much these days. And that's something that a recruiter who's out there every day talking with candidates, talking with client companies, getting an understanding who they are, what they're all about, what they want to get done, why they would like to take a job as a chef, why they would like to take a job as a vice president of marketing, where they see themselves, etc. That information can be invaluable for a company in order for the company to establish their most successful culture. And every company has a culture, good or bad. And, you know, they say that good companies are always looking. Well, so are bad companies. And that's why it's incumbent upon a candidate looking for another opportunity to do as much background and due diligence as they possibly can. On the hiring side of things, what I encourage companies to do is don't overthink it. I hate to start with a negative like word don't. However, it's important that they not overthink it because there's a thing that's called analysis paralysis, where they want the person to go talk to this executive, then go talk to that general manager, then meet our corporate chef, and then talk to our VP of marketing. And when people are working, they don't really have 2.5 months to go through a process like that, unless it's a 6 or 7 figure opportunity, in which case they arrange their schedules accordingly. But if you like somebody and you feel good about them, you got a good vibe about them, and you check a couple of references, and you feel they're going to be a good fit for who you are and what you're trying to get done as a company, then move on them, make it happen. Because before that, everything is just conjecture. You're predicting how you think they're going to work out, and there's nothing like actually being on the field of play to determine how actually they're going to be working out. And so my company, Chris Kauffman and Company, CHRIS Kauffman and Company, CHRIS has recently been noted by Advertising Age magazine as one of the most clever acronyms for a recruiting firm. CHRIS clubs, hotels, restaurants, institutions, and sales, which are the 5 disciplines we've made placements since the early 1980s. Overwhelmingly, over 60% of the placements are in the restaurant industry. That's where I come from, except for a short bit of time when I was with Hyatt Hotels. But the restaurant industry, they tend to move faster than clubs in making a decision. They move faster than hotels. Hotels are America's bureaucratic nightmare a lot of the times, unless you have an entrepreneurial hotel owner who owns 3 or 4 Hiltons or whatever, and understands you got to strike while the iron is hot when you're talking to somebody that you feel can be an asset to your company. So we work throughout the United States. Historically, most of the work is the Southeast United States. We have a gentleman interviewing on a Zoom call in Virginia. He's in Richmond. The position is over in Stanton, Virginia, which is southwestern Virginia. And that's going to happen on Monday. And so it's exciting because we get to help companies grow faster and better than if they did not have our service, which is kind of professionally exciting. I'm open for questions, comments, suggestions. If anybody has a question, please feel free to step up.
Chris, I want to read you I found this article, knowing that you were going to be speaking today. And if you want to jump in on it, or anybody else can jump in on it. I read the first one before. 53% of hiring managers say their company eliminated the requirement for a bachelor's degree for some roles in the past year. Number 2, 64% say the reason for removing the requirement was to increase the number of applicants. Number 3, 76% say they are likely to favor experience over education. 4, majority of hiring managers say company doesn't see value in certificate programs, associate degrees, online degrees, or boot camps. And number 5, 77% of companies are currently offering apprenticeships or plan to by the end of the year. And the last one is 46% say attrition is a problem, which we all know.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally agree, and with the concept you recently mentioned there. The concept of experience is more important than education. What you do in the hospitality business should not be that complicated that you have to have a 4-year degree. And even if you have a 4-year degree in hotel restaurant management, that's nice, that's fine. But the reality is, what can you do in terms of increasing the hospitality quotient for our company? And what can you do to help us increase guest satisfaction? And it's a meat and potatoes, pun intended, type of industry. I mean, it's not supposed to be any rocket science type of situation. You're either going to take care of people in that dining room or you're not. And it's a business of taking care of people, period.
You're right.
So,
Anybody have any comments or questions for Chris?
I do.
I've got one. So Chris, I don't know if you heard, but the January jobs report was announced today, and whether or not you're going to believe it or not, but they said in January that 517,000 jobs were created and lowered the unemployment rate to 3.4%, which is what they're saying is the lowest it's been since the late 60s. So the question I have for you is, are you seeing that much creation in what you do, or do you believe the numbers may be fudged?
Well, there's, there you can't say the numbers are fudged or not fudged without some type of data to back it up. But I see where companies are looking to improve who they are and what they do. The sticker shock for companies that have had the same person in a position for the last 5 years is that salaries have taken about a 20% jump from what they were just 2 years ago. Somebody making 60,000 2 years ago should be making 70,000 plus this year. And that's partly supply and demand. A lot of people after COVID, when their restaurants got closed up, they left the industry and realized, there's a life after working every Friday and Saturday night. My gosh, this is pretty cool. And they decided to pursue other businesses, pursue other career options. So I can't say whether the stats are for real or they're fudged, because a lot of times there's a political angle behind it. I just look at the reality that people still need good people, and that's what we focus on.
Thank you.
Chris, all we can see is your ear.
Oh, okay, there we go. Well,
It's a nice ear, but
I was going to say that's his best side.
So I have a question. Do you think the unemployment rate dropped because people dropped out of the market?
yes.
And in general, I mean, just in general, which lowered that percentage of unemployment.
Right. Yeah, I think there have been people. If they make it easy for people to stay home, where you can make $40,000 to $45,000 through 2 or 3 different government programs, there's people going to stay home.
Yeah.
And then they'll put maybe the other spouse to work or something. But it's the go-go entrepreneurial mentality of that drove the industry and really built the industry in the 60s and the 70s. Not so much these days.
Yeah.
So I still believe a piece of the action is the best compensation.
So the question to you and everybody in general is that I've been working, and Ed, I have a lead for you. I've been working with these called nationwide concessions since last November. I started getting deals from these guys. So in the last 3 weeks, I've got applications, probably about 6 applications for people that are looking to do a food trailer or a food truck. Okay. Some have been in business looking to either replace one or add another one. Some are just thinking, hey, I got mama's recipe, I can do a food trailer, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm trying to get them approved. I got a couple approved, some just not going to get approved. They're just credits terrible. So when you open this business, does that add to people being hired, or is that just because you're an entrepreneur, so that really doesn't really apply to the unemployment or people going back to the workforce?
I really don't know how it applies. I just because I don't know if there's any fresh demographics or statistics on people who pursued that or what they used to do. I do know that I've had an opportunity for somebody who's bilingual to make $60,000, $70,000 working 5 days a week, 45 hours. It is basically a kitchen manager position, but it's in a food production company, and these guys can mentally grasp the difference in life, and they They revert back to what they know, which is going back to be a kitchen manager somewhere, as opposed to enhancing their career growth
Mhm.
and their value in the industry. I tell people it's all about value. I mean, the short time that I was with Hyatt, that helped me understand hotels, helped me understand that level of service. And even though I was not there to get the gold watch, that's okay. I did learn, I did grow, and I'm glad that I went. I'm glad that I left. So, but and anyway,
Chris,
so
your ear is back.
yeah, I know. I'm trying
Thank
to
you.
hear. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay. But in any case, as far as the fees for our services, we only charge the companies. We never charge the candidates. And the fees are really all over the map. It can be 10% of the salary, but if we get into the senior level stuff, it could be 20%. Or sometimes the company will come back and say, our fee schedule with our company is 22% period paragraph, and we don't do retainers. We only do contingency. Take it or leave it. And then as a recruiter, you have a choice to take it or leave it. And there can be some good fees on contingency, but when you're working on retainer where they've put some money down to start the process, then you've got their attention. It's incredible how fast a phone call is returned when a company's on retainer. It's amazing. So,
Are you doing any work, Chris, with hotel management companies? Like I've done a little bit with the hotel we did in Hawaii, but Sightline Hospitality, they run like 30. And
we would like to do more. It's been a while, only because we're just so tilted, if you will, in restaurants over the last 3 years in particular. But I love to work with the hotel companies as long as they're not administrative nightmares. Because hotels, I mean, that's one thing I did see at Hyatt that is still true to this day, is that if I wanted to change anything as the general manager of the restaurant at the Hyatt Regency, if I wanted to move the salt and pepper shakers to the left side of the table from the right side of the table, I had to develop a memo and send it to the director of restaurants, the food and beverage director, the regional director of restaurants, the regional food and beverage director, the corporate chef, I mean,
I agree with you, but some of these guys are running big restaurants. And here in South Florida, a lot of the big restaurants are owned by management companies. These groups come out of New York, the restaurant people in Fort Lauderdale. There's some big groups. I mean, the independent mom and pop restaurateur, at least in South Florida here, to me, sounds like few and far between. All right, to the most part. Most of the stuff happening in the beach is these big companies out of New York. All right, the Steven Stein Group. I mean, there's some big groups. There's some big groups here. Ocean Bay Hospitality, Ocean Hospitality. But it seems like more and more these 200-seat restaurants, 150, 200-seat restaurants, are not owned by a single person. They are owned by a group. And getting to the group is the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, we recently placed an executive chef in Jensen Beach with the big shrimp house, and they have Conky Joe's.
Oh, that's a huge place. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were great people to work with. They could make a decision. They didn't jackass around. They just, I mean, they gave us the specs, and we want this, this, and this in the background. And we got them a guy from Vero Beach who just drove a few miles south and was able to secure the opportunity. So, we, if need be, we'll open an office in South Florida. How's that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'll put my best man on.
Chris, then you can be on the beach in South Florida rather than Vidalia. Right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the water is warm.
right. Yeah. I'm still trying to sell some oceanfront property in Vidalia, and no takers as yet, But in Vidalia, We just had the census here recently. 27,000 people in the county, the whole county, 27,000 people. Okay. But I told my CPA, I said, I moved here in 2010. There were 27,000 people here then. I said, you know what this tells me? He goes, what? I said, every time a baby is born, a man leaves town. So.
No, could be a woman.
Florida man leaves town. Okay.
Every time a baby is born, a man leaves town.
That's terrible.
It's
Brian,
only
you
time.
quit laughing at that. That's terrible. Chris,
All right.
shame on you.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? Chris? All right, Chris, thank you very much for presenting today. And I know Chris
Thank you
is a great resource for our group for what he does, and no problems recommending Chris to do it.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your flexibility this morning. And it's my first time ever doing a Zoom call from a Crystal Hamburgers, but you know, I know the maitre d' here. I got a good table, so.
Did you place him?
Did you,
Not
were you
yet.
able to move the salt and pepper shaker around?
I haven't
Hey,
placed it
is
yet. I do have
Is a
it
crystal
set
now $5?
up. Right.
We
So-
just got a new entry. Roy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you
Good
hear me?
morning.
Good morning.
Could you tell us who you are and what you do and where you are?
Well, I'm in Atlanta.
Can you speak up, please?
I'm sorry. I'm in Atlanta. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm in Atlanta and been in the restaurant business most of my life. Founded a chain of restaurants here in Atlanta and sold out. And just a friend of mine told me about this site, so I just wanted to jump on.
Well, great. If you wouldn't mind putting your contact information in the chat. So that,
Okay.
thank you. And what we're going to do now is do our intros. And I'm going to start out with Steve Whitehill. And I want to, again, thank you, Steve, for going the extra mile and trying to increase our membership here.
My pleasure. Anytime I can do that. So I'm Steve Whitehill. I'm a business broker here in Florida, and I sell all sorts of businesses. What I do is I help people buy and sell businesses. I can help you figuring out what your business is worth. And let me give you an example of something I have. And by the way, I did a little search this morning. I have 21 of these available. I have 21 restaurants in the state of Florida right now that where the owner's earnings are over $500,000. And this one is a bagel restaurant here in Palm Beach County, where I live. Matter of fact, I tried to look it up where it is. I want to see if I knew it or go visit it. And
I'll tell you which one it is.
It makes approximately has sales of about $3 million, and on the $3 million, it makes $550,000. And you can get it for, you can buy that for $1.8 million. And I just want to see if there's a loan. You can get an SBA loan, and I think that's wrong. Oh no, it's a seller loan, but he's doing it over 10 years for $650,000, which really reduces the amount of money you need to put into this thing. And if the numbers are real, you could potentially get an SBA loan as well. So there isn't, you could probably come into this thing with as little as $200,000, given the whole thing, and earn on that $200,000, $550,000. So there are a lot of good opportunities. By the way, the business is 17 years old, has 11 full-time employees, 17 part-time, and 2 managers. So it's a nice bagel place.
Okay, so how do we reach you, Steve?
Oh, yes, thank you. I can be reached at 561-376-7500, or you can contact me via email at steve@anchorbb.com, or you can go to my website, anchorbb.com, and find out everything about me and all
Okay,
the businesses I have.
thank you. That's good. let's go to Joe Cregan. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, everybody. Joe Cregan here with Kite Payment Services. We are a reseller of Clover and Adello POS systems for restaurants. And we're also a reseller for Fiserv, or what used to be called First Data Payment Processing, and ADP Payroll Processing. So we're basically a total business solutions company for any restaurants. We support about 700 accounts. It used to be closer to 900 before COVID, but about 700 accounts, of which 60-70% are restaurants. We've got an office here in Fort Lauderdale, actually Davie, another one outside Orlando, really a home-based office rep up there. And I've got a telemarketer in Tampa. So we're constantly emailing and calling on new restaurant leads and generating appointments for our reps. So what we do, POS systems, that's what we do. I sell cash registers. I've been doing that forever, since the 70s, late 70s. And we sell integrated payment processing. And there's a lot of advantages today in technology for restaurants to change their POS system and payment processing to order and pay at the table, to omni-channel payment processing, where one merchant account can support online ordering, as well as table-side ordering and on-premise ordering. We integrate with all the online ordering services, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and of course we have our own integrated with Clover and Adello POS. So when it comes to restaurant technology and most importantly payments, we've got the products and the people that can really give them the tools to reduce the food costs as much as 3 to 4% of sales, and really reduce their payment processing costs as much as 20% of processing volume. So Joe Cregan with Kite Payment Services.
You want to give us your phone number?
Yeah, I'm in, my website is www.kitepaymentservices.net, and the office number is 954-635-5044.
I forgot to mention that next week I was able to secure a speaker, a guest speaker from out of the group, who is a cybersecurity expert. And I had a brief conversation with him yesterday. And in particular, Joe, some of the things he was telling me about were definitely going to affect you and what you do.
Sure.
So I think it's going to be very interesting.
There's been a lot of breaches. That's why everything's on the cloud now. But everybody remembers, I forget who, Aloha POS had a big breach. Well, everybody remembers the Target breach. But I'm trying to remember the restaurant chain that got breached a few years ago. But sure, these old.
There's some new regulations coming down. The new.
Oh yeah, with the surcharge.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I'm going to let him do it. I'm not an expert on that.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, Terry. Good morning.
Good morning. Today's restaurant news, Terry. What do I do? What do I do? I do a lot.
You don't know, I don't know.
Okay, then the meeting's closed. No, I have to find out about 10, 12 hours a day with my group of where things are opening, when, and who owns them, and how we can reach them. So you're going to get a report about the 9th of every month in an Excel spreadsheet. You can delete what you want, keep what you want, sort what you want, of who's opening, when, and where in the entire state, from the Panhandle all the way to Key West. We have a report in Georgia as well, which honestly, we had 2 new people that had signed on for the Georgia report last week. And we get, I don't know, Georgia, I'm gonna hold at about 35 to 40 new leads every month. Florida is closer to 70 a month, and sometimes it could be more, and sometimes Georgia can be more. It just depends. I have a, I don't know if anyone's interested, but I found out, and I used to work when I lived in California, which is where I'm from, at Del Taco. That was my first job, and I moved up real quick to store manager. I think I was like 14 or 15. But anyways, they are now entering Florida in a massive way. There are going to be almost a dozen new units opening up in the Tampa Bay area with a new franchisee. And I got that release today from the corporate office down in Irvine in California. So that is a chain coming in. Del Taco is, you can't compare it to Taco Bell because it's like comparing Chick-fil-A to a store-bought chicken sandwich. You just can't do it. Taco Bell is a higher end, has a lot of very good, and they've really expanded their menus. But anyways, that'll be in the report as well. So a lot of good stuff. Terry, Terri at trnusa.com. Today's restaurant news. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You want to mention the Alabama?
I don't have to. You just did. What we're doing in Georgia is we've started to get a lot of information on Alabama. So we started to put that into the Georgia report since they're so closely connected. I think anybody that gets Georgia last week, there was about a dozen. I mean, last month, I'm sorry, about a dozen. So anything I get now, I do put in, and I'm randomly adding other states as I'm getting them from my group. So, and if anybody needs a sample, just email me. I will send you a sample of the report. Thanks. Thank you, Howard, for the reminder. I did forget that.
Okay.
Terry, have you dropped Texas?
Oh, years ago. And I'll tell you why. I got more leads in Texas than anywhere else in the country. But the people in Dallas don't want to talk to the people in El Paso. The people in Houston, we have a major problem with talking to the people anywhere else. They're so territorial. And I tried this 3 different times. And I have to tell you, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I don't know, because the state is, maybe it's Texas. You've got a lot of farmers. You've got a lot of Hispanic restaurant owners that really don't care if their chairs are ripped. They still have their customers. You have a lot of, a lot of independents that they just don't want anything new. They don't want anybody coming in and telling them anything. So it was very, very difficult. And I tried everything, honestly. And I used to be a sales manager for 10 years in California. So I just couldn't get through to the people in Texas. And the ones I could get through to that were very excited, it wasn't enough to keep the report going.
Okay.
In a word,
I hope that helps. I was so frustrated because Texas, I still to this day get emails every single day about new things coming into Texas. And honestly, if anybody's really interested in Texas, I can forward you the email, send you the information, whatever I get, happy to do it for you. Only in this group though.
now that the whole country knows that.
The whole country can join the group and then they can get it too.
All right. Ed, good morning. Did you go to NAFM?
Yeah, Howard, I was going to say, I went to NAFM, very crowded.
Really?
Very crowded with people going through. I was there Tuesday and Wednesday morning. Sorry, Wednesday and Thursday morning. I was not there Thursday afternoon or today. The booth numbers were down, appears. A lot of empty spaces,
Really?
a lot of people, companies from Turkey and China again in their separate areas. They're really pushing. Tremendous amount of changes that I saw, particularly in the appliances where it's energy savings, Green Star, switching from gas to electric for cooking. It's amazing the changes. Now at the Florida Restaurant Show, there must have been a half a dozen robotic companies there. Did I
Right.
say that so close? There were none at NAFM. There was
Wow.
none of them.
No
which
way.
There none. I was really surprised at that. I looked for them. I
Yeah.
could not find one.
Because they're not members of NAFM.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. But I
No,
was
because
shocked.
you can still have a booth at NAFM without being a member.
You think so?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can. You can.
Well, I did not see any robotics places, or even suggestions that they had access to it, which I was a little surprised at.
That's
Um,
very odd.
I'll tell you, one of the companies that I did business with prior to the Florida show, I'm not going to mention the name, but I tried to reach out to them after doing some work for them, and all the email addresses that I had were bounced back. Telephone numbers were gone. I don't know whether they merged with somebody or they closed up shop or whatever it was, but there's going to be a lot of movement in that area as the weeks and months go on, because there's going to be so much competition in that coming from all over the world.
But do you think that possibly it's going to be, and the more I think about this, I know the world is advancing, but those companies that are coming over from other companies with the impending worldwide change, I'll say, with countries that are having issues with other countries. I don't want to mention the world, the W world, war world, but do you think that there's any correlation to that with not having any robotic companies there, Ed, because of?
I don't know. At the Florida Restaurant Show, there were a number of robotic companies that
Yes.
said they were
Yeah.
manufacturing in this country. They
Yes.
said that. But again, I did not see any of them. And I haven't had a chance to investigate as to why. I'll go back to the people that were at the Florida Restaurant Show and ask them why they weren't there. I'm going to do that to some of them and see what they say.
Hey, Ed,
The one, yeah.
you go finish. I'll tell you what about the robotics. I learned something about it.
I was going to say too, the Turkish people that were there, the companies, Turkey right now, I did talk to some of their people. They are trying to go export driven, their country. They're trying to export everything. So they're really pushing in this country to get a toehold. How I can say, because they're trying to beat what the EU is trying to do and to get into this country before the EU starts changing, so they have a foothold. And particularly, they're trying to get around some of the green regulations of the EU, since they're part of I think they're still somehow connected with the EU. They're still manufacturing display cases, to the best of my knowledge, without the propane that the Europeans are using. They're using R404. So they're trying to get a foothold in this country where you can still use 404 as opposed to 290 gas. So where they're actually trying to go, other than they're trying to promote their industries at the expense of other businesses, and they are cheap. They are really cheap, and that's all I'll
Yes,
say
but
about
even
that.
if they did come in, they would have to change it to the 290. Even if they came
No.
in, they can't.
United States is not 290 required. It's 404 still.
It is 404. Yeah, but Turkey is we've got an impending massive issue going on, with Turkey, China, some of the other countries.
Let me get to the two remaining members. So we can get them in before 10.
Okay.
Excuse me. Brian, go ahead. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Real quick, if that's you, Roy, Roy's a good guy. I've known Roy for years.
Oh,
Thanks.
Roy?
Yes.
Hey, it's Brian Josselson. How you
Hey,
doing?
Brian. Yeah, good
Hey.
seeing you.
Yeah, I guess Jeff's not on. Is Jeff with you on the call?
No, he's the one that gave
Okay.
me the information.
Okay.
right now. Thanks.
All right. I know Roy for years. But I'm Brian with Rogue Financial Group. We're a commercial equipment financing company. We've been around several years. I've been with them for about 3. I was with another company for many years, but I work with a lot of small to medium sized companies. Could be a startup, could be an existing business. What we do is equipment financing. I primarily focus on the hospitality side, which is restaurants, hotels, breweries, convenience stores. I've been doing a lot with food cargo trailers for they're putting, food trailers. And we also have another division which does yellow iron, which is construction equipment. But again, I'm Brian with Rogue Financial Group, 404-723-7222.
Okay, thank you. Rick,
Hey, good
Morning.
morning, everybody. Terry, real quick, Del Taco's coming to Alabama. They're coming to Huntsville. They've got 3 locations ready to go.
Yes, yes,
Be
they
here
are.
sometime by the end of the year, beginning of next year. So yes, I grew up on Del Taco, didn't eat Taco Bell till I moved to Alabama. I prefer Del Taco. But besides that, my name is Rick Israel. I am the principal owner of Affiliated Health Insurers, DBA as the Israel agency. We are an independent insurance brokerage firm. We help individuals that are coming off their group plans going into the Medicare space. As a matter of fact, our company has just, I think I announced last week, we have just signed and sealed the T and the I in South Carolina. We have a few clients moving up there from Florida, so we're excited about that expansion. And also, we are big into the ACA this time of year. Of course, if you are a restaurant owner and you do not offer health insurance to your your employees, have them come my way, because I am licensed in the state of Florida and I can help them get health insurance for them and their families. It's very important that health insurance is there. I will be going to Washington, D.C. at the end of this month for the National Association of Benefit and Insurance Professionals Conference, meeting with other individuals who do what I do in the Medicare space and group benefit space. And we'll be meeting with our congressmen and women and senators, asking them to support the bills that are on the docket for this year's Congress, to get some healthcare reform taken care of in both Medicare and the individual health space. Just real brief, and then I'll cut it. A lot of talk's been going on about with the Inflation Reduction Act, as far as the cost of medications for individuals on Medicare. It is not going to be all medications, folks. It's only the top 10, and that is going to be decided by the insurance companies of who's and what's going to be there. So if you're on a medication that's affected by that, let me know, because I do have connections with the Canadian Med Store that can help you lower the out-of-pocket expenses on your meds. So with that being said, you can reach me at 256-937-2537 or 256-698-8774. Thank you.
okay,
Oh, by the way, I will help you get your Medicare right. That's our new slogan. We're working on a new slogan.
That's a
okay.
good one. That's a good
Ivo, you want to add anything to your intro now that you've seen what we do?
Yes, my name is Ivo Rovares. I'm a business banker from PNC in Deerfield Beach, Florida. My focus is business owners, basically. We have a lot of products. It's a complete bank. PNC is now the 5th largest bank in America. We have 2,700 branches, more or less. And you have me. So what we do, well, it's a lot of products. I would say basically on the business banking side is loans to buy equipment, in real estate, vehicles. It's a lot of things. We also have a checking account. It's a lot of little products. So I'm a business banker in Florida, and we speak several languages here to support our clients. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, we
And
thank you.
if I could add something to that, when I met with Ivo and his partner, they also pointed out that they do loans and they like the food service industry as a whole. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so that I thought that's an interesting resource for this group.
That's
True.
great. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Ivo, and thank you, Steve, for
Thank you.
recommending. And Roy, do you want to add anything to your intro?
Not really. I've been in the restaurant business. Can you hear me okay? I'm on a different system here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I've been in the restaurant business, knew Brian for years, and developed a chain of restaurants and sold out, like I said, and I'm in the middle of developing something else that with parts and comfort foods. My original concept was the Philadelphia cheesesteak sandwich, which worked out pretty well for me. But yeah, I'm just always learning. Love to catch up with what's going on in the industry. Been out of it for a little bit, but getting back into it.
Okay, well, we thank you for coming, and we hope you come back next week. As I mentioned before, we've got a cybersecurity expert who's coming in to do a presentation. I think you'll all find that very interesting. Like I said, in my short conversation with him, there was a lot of things there that applied to this group. So I'm going to officially end the meeting and say thank you all for coming. If you want to reach us, please call us at 561-620-8888 or go to our website, trnusa.com. See you next week.